And we're back, folks, right here in WWE Network and Chill. I'm Graham Jason Matthews, and right here on the show, I break down all the original programming available on the WWE Network. And today we're talking Total Divas Season 1, Episode 10, entitled SummerSlam. Not really all that original. Maybe it was to the creators of the show, but it is just simply entitled SummerSlam. So you can pretty much imagine what the show's about. The 2013 installment of SummerSlam, the various women's matches going on in that show, and everything else going on, quote-unquote, behind the scenes at that time. So one of our first major storylines of the show. It's kind of weird because we have two concurrent storylines going on with Nikki Bella. One deals with her dealing with the jealousy of Eva Marie and her rising star, her rising popularity. Eva's like, it was so funny because she was not wrestling at SummerSlam. She was in the corner of Brie Bella alongside Nikki Bella for her match with Natalya, and her corner was the Funkadactyls. And Eva just goes nuts because she sees one sign for her in the crowd, and the person holding up that sign was the same person who came up to her at the autograph signing that we saw a couple minutes earlier on the same episode. I'm going all over the place here for a second, but I just need to mention this. That said, "You're my idol," blah, blah, blah. That was the only Eva Marie sign in the entire crowd that entire night, and she thought because of that one sign, she was the most popular diva in the entire locker room, and she was automatically more popular than the Bella Twins. The Bella Twins gonna fall, or gonna ball, whatever, something like that. So we see a little bit of that teased tension between Eva and the Bella Twins. They hate each other one week, the next week they love each other. That's just the fucking nature of the show, so nothing new there. But we start off the show with her showing off her Maxim shoot to the rest of the divas. JoJo, we see one interview from JoJo where she says, "I've seen this before, don't really care about it." And that's all we hear from JoJo in this episode and pretty much the rest of the season. I was pretty surprised by the fact that that she was still in the intro of the show. They didn't officially remove her from Total Divas until Season 2 before replacing her with Summer Rae. But she was still technically a part of the show. She was slowly being phased out. She was at SummerSlam and arguably had a bigger role than anyone else in the cast of Total Divas, and that was singing the national anthem at the start of the show, which was an amazing rendition, by the way. But we hear nothing from JoJo whatsoever, so they pretty much slowly, not even slowly, abruptly phased her out of the show. We saw her in episodes 8 and 9, talking about her first half of the season, and we see essentially nothing from her in the second half, which blew my mind. But just keep that in mind here, that throughout the rest of the season, through episode 4, 15, whatever the hell it was, I forgot how long this season went till, we see pretty much next to nothing of JoJo, so just remember that. But anyway, so Eva shows off her Maxim shoot, hoping to get some jealousy, spark some rage in the Bella Twins, which she does. Then she comes around again a little bit later on in the episode, circulating, or talking about a rumor that was circulating on the quote-unquote dirt sheets about Eva potentially teaming with John Cena against, I think, Brie and Daniel Bryan or something like that. And it's like, when was that ever a rumor? I'm the biggest dirt sheet guy out there. The rumor, the dirt sheets did accurately predict that it would be John Cena and Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam, which blew my mind that they were actually right on, because it didn't seem like that was the direction they were going in, but they did. But I do not remember seeing that report at all. She did show her phone in the report on her phone while she was reading it. Maybe she typed it up herself. Maybe it was one of those stupid-ass websites. I do not once remember reading or hearing that the idea in the summer of 2013 was to put Eva with John Cena. And Nikki just got furious anyway, thinking that it was legitimate. So it's not even like, oh, the dirt sheets were wrong. I don't even remember anyone saying that on social media, on the dirt sheets, whatever. It's just, that must have been made up for the show. I don't know what they typed up to make that seem like it was legit, but I do not remember reading that whatsoever. So obviously it was bullshit. So Cena comes to Nikki with his injury. Remember when he had that huge-ass fucking golf ball or a basketball on his elbow? So he goes to her about it. She says, "You got to do the same thing that I did. You got to go to the doctor. You told me to go to the doctor. Now you got to go to the doctor." And he's a bit hesitant that, it's going to not cut his career short, but, cancel the scheduled SummerSlam match between Cena and Bryan for the WWE title at SummerSlam. So we don't really hear much about that soon after, but they are at the red carpet. Cena just up and ditches her. Nikki talks to Brie later, and she still has no idea what's going on. Apparently, when she got home that night, she didn't ask John what went down. So apparently, he does not want her knowing. But knowing Nikki's personality, you would think that the moment she got home from that red carpet, as furious as she was, when he ditched her, that she would ask him ASAP, but apparently she did not, so that was a bit strange. So anyway, like I said, Eva's saying, oh, they're going to be seeing a lot more of me, a lot less of the Bellas, which is far from true, even 3 years later. Then Eva says a little bit later on that she wants Brie as her tag team partner, because remember, the last time that we left off here, after the little mid-season hiatus, break, whatever, Nikki was still injured, and she still is injured by this period in time. She's still appearing on TV, but she is not wrestling. Brie still is wrestling, which is why she got the match at SummerSlam with Natalya. So Eva says, oh, well, maybe Nikki's out. We could be tag team partners. Obviously, Brie says no, and she brings that to Nikki, and Nikki gets pissed. So then Cena is holding something from Nikki this entire time. She starts to get worried, but he finally spills the beans that the reason why he's been avoiding her this entire time is because he found out the nature of his injury. As opposed to being out for a few weeks, he might be out for as close to 6 months with this elbow surgery, injury, whatever. Obviously, not even close to being the case. He would only be out for a mere fucking 2 months. He wrestled the match at SummerSlam with the messed up elbow, which was a great match, by the way. The show ends with Daniel Bryan winning the WWE title. So apparently in their universe, Orton never cashed in, Triple H never turned heel, and the Authority was never a thing. I sure as hell wish that was real. I would love to think that was real. Obviously, it was not. But I would love to live in that universe where the Authority was never a thing. It was a great swerve at that time, but 3 years later, I wish it never happened. So anyway, though, Cena obviously over-exaggerates the injury. He is not out for 6 months, not even close. He's out for not even 2 months, and he comes back at Hell in a Cell a couple months later. But they watch the match. Bryan beats Cena to win the WWE title. Obviously, Nikki cheering on for her boyfriend John, and then Brie cheering on for Bryan. And she fears that his injury might be career-ending. Not even close, like I said before. So our next two storylines in the show, and the remainder of the episode here, the first one being Ariane, continuing on with her anger issues from the first half of the season when she blew up at Trinity and her boyfriend Vinny. So we start off the episode with her in the car with Trinity and Jimmy Uso, whatever. I know I kind of go back and forth in calling him Jimmy or John in the show, but anyway. John Uso, they're all in the car together. She just fucking flips out at the guy in front of her. I forgot even what he did. Probably something small, if anything at all. She gets out of the car, confronts the guy. He calls her a bitch. She just goes off the deep end, throws her coffee at him. He drives off. She is just fucking blowing up at this guy. And obviously Trin says, something's wrong here. I got to go talk to her. But even before that happens, she goes off on Vinny at some after party. I forgot what it was, but he starts dancing. Not really as crazy as he was a couple of episodes ago when he kind of just was all over the place at one of these after parties. He was pretty harmless on this show, but she still blew up anyway, treating him like a piece of shit. She kind of shoves him a little bit as she walks away. So obviously, it's not really Vinny's fault here. It's more so Ariane's fault. So Trinity goes to talk to her about her anger issues. You need to get this shit checked out, and she does. Not with a doctor or anything. She goes to the source, that is her mother, and her mom agrees that, yes, you do have anger issues, but Ariane says it kind of comes from you. And she reveals that she had daddy issues growing up, and her stepdad was kind of mean to her, so that's probably why she has some guy issues. Why she's mean to Vinny, blah, blah, blah. So they cry over that, kind of bond over that. Later, she apologizes to Trinity, to John Uso, over a cup of beer up, on the top of a roof. With Vinny as well, she apologizes to everybody and she moves on. So she obviously still has some anger issues, but she can kind of get to the source of the problem and start to work them out. So our third and most ridiculous storyline, pretty much everything on this show is ridiculous, but easily the most ridiculous storyline in the history of the show up to this point. Natalya and Naomi are having a match on Superstars. They make it out to be like it's on Raw or SmackDown. It's not. It's on Superstars. And during the course of the match, Naomi does a booty bump to Natalya. Natalya later says it was when she hit her in the face, but it's obviously pretty clear it's when she hit her in her bladder. And then Naomi, so she does the booty bump, and Natalya, apparently because of that booty bump, pisses her pants a little bit, tinkles a little bit, or exact words here. So Natalya gets super pissed at Trinity after their match, saying that she's reckless in the ring, which she still kind of is. She's still relatively green at the time, but obviously it's a harmless booty bump, which she should stop doing as her finisher, which is awful, by the way, but as a regular move, it was fine. Natalya freaked out. She didn't pee her pants. It wasn't even apparent. Obviously, she thought it was. You couldn't see a single thing. It wasn't even visible, but she gets pissed off anyway. No pun intended. So they go to have their SummerSlam match. She gets the great news about that SummerSlam match, but about that she's going to have a match at SummerSlam against Brie Bella, her first singles match on pay-per-view in fucking years, it feels like, in a long-ass time, and it's a pretty good match. But first, she has to work the red carpet, not walk down the red carpet, but host the red carpet. And during the course of which, she encounters Alicia Fox, and Alicia Fox, brings up the pee joke, and she says that pretty much everyone knows about it. Not the joke, but the situation. Obviously, Natalya gets pissed. Not really the time or place for it, but Natalya says she gets really mad about it. That Alicia Fox, that Fox says that pretty much everybody knows. But the only real person that knows about it is John Cena. After Nikki Bella is a bitch about it and tells John about it. And Alicia Fox, we don't really hear much about it from anyone else other than Alicia Fox because they're doing a contract signing later. And once again, Fox brings it up to her and Natalya gets pissed. Again, once again, no pun intended. So to close it all off, TJ, a.k.a. Tyson Kidd, makes Natalya feel better about it, says, you're only as good as your last match. And that was a really good match. Don't worry about it. It's not a big issue. You're obviously over-exaggerating. She has the match with Brie at SummerSlam. A pretty good match, honestly. Not even like bullshitting you. I thought it was a pretty good match. For what it was. They got some decent time. Natalya won. She's obviously very happy about it. And the match goes great, so happily ever after there. So that is Total Divas Season 1, Episode 10, entitled SummerSlam. You can check it out only on the WWE Network. We'll be back on my next edition of WWE Network and Chill to review the subsequent episode of Season 1, Episode 11, as Season 1 comes to a quick close. So in the meantime, in between time, guys, as always, be sure to check me out on the Twitter machine. Follow me there at WrestleRant. Find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Graham.GSN.Matthews. And right here on YouTube, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. All support is amazingly appreciated. So in the meantime, guys, have a great rest of your week or weekend, whatever it might be. I'm Graham GSN Matthews, and I'll catch you folks down the road.